Okay, here we go. Okay. Good evening and welcome again, everyone. So yes, I was saying that although I was quite inspired to offer this meditation to our community, I also was aware that many of us are probably ready to move on, right? And yet, I feel that our capacity to move on is enhanced both individually as well as a community by really integrating the lessons that this life form that's come onto our planet at this time that is affecting every single one of us, by integrating what it has to teach us and how it's here to help us to evolve. And one of the ways that we do that through the ClearBeing soul coaching is that we recognize that there are so many other ways of knowing beyond the mind. So many of us have probably been experiencing this pandemic through the mind, through what we're seeing, through what we're hearing, maybe through the beliefs and the opinions that we already have. And there's no right or wrong with that. But what I really want to take advantage of this evening is the fact that we have so many other ways of knowing that our Creator has given us. We have our senses, we have our bodies, we have our hearts, we have our souls, we have our emotions. These are all ways of knowing that I'd like to invite to the table this evening in the midst of this this guided journey that we'll be taking. And we do this both for our own benefits, because many of us are perhaps suffering in some way because of the ways in which this pandemic has changed our lives, or maybe it's created some conflict within ourselves, or with our work, or with our friends or our family. So there's certainly that, and that is a wonderful benefit in and of itself. But beyond that, I believe that because we all share in this field of consciousness, and that everything exists within a certain vibration, and I believe that if we can take what it is that is landing on us in this time and transform the energies that seem to be activated by these times, then those energies, as they're liberated, will serve to fuel the growth and the evolution of our own soul, and simultaneously that of humanity, because we're not separate. So maybe in a way, it's good that we've been able to live through a year and a half of this, and we're coming to do this at this time, because I'm sure that we've all integrated things in our own way and done some learning in our own way. But it's always very empowering for a group to come together and to do this together, to be fueled by the power of the shared field. So just go ahead and settle into your seats. No doubt we're all coming from a full day of taking care of ourselves and work and family. And just allow yourselves to settle into your seats. And I want to say that if you're comfortable with your eyes closed during meditation, feel free to do that. And you're also free to keep your eyes open, or even to go from one to the other. So there's no particular way that your body has to be. Feel free to move it around at some point if that feels like it's needed. So you don't have to sit absolutely still, but if that comes naturally, then that's perfect too. So before we go anywhere on this journey, let's be here. Feel your body resting down into the solidity of the ground, of the earth. that is beneath your home, and that's indirectly supporting you right now. So feel that through the sense of touch and the body settling into gravity, there's an invitation coming from this great earth beneath you to let yourself be held. And as you let yourself be held, you'll notice that certain parts of your body let go into gravity, into the embrace of the earth more easily than others, and that's okay. We're not trying to follow my instructions perfectly. We're showing up here in our humanity, and the instructions are just really an orientation, an invitation to try something or to open to experiencing something. But ultimately, I invite you to just trust your own experience. So whether you're feeling what I'm pointing to or not, it's perfect. So the body is settling into gravity. And we can use the exhale of each breath cycle to encourage the body to soften down a little bit more. Not by trying, but just there's this natural sinking that occurs with the exhale. And you may even begin to notice some tingling in the feet and the hands as the body lets go of some of the tension from the day. So open to that and enjoy that. And then you can use the inhale to expand upwards and outwards in all directions. To feel the edges of the body reaching, opening. Exhaling, I land in this moment just as it is. Inhaling, I expand into the unending possibilities that are contained within this moment. Exhaling, I drop into what I know, what I'm feeling right now, what I'm sensing, my breath, just what I know in this moment. Inhaling, I expand into what I don't know. So let's bring our awareness to the breath itself, to the sensation that the breath creates in the body, the sensations. And I encourage you to not try to change the breath in any way, but to practice just opening to it as it's showing up in its particular dance in this moment. So whether it's expanded or not, whether it's smooth or not, long or short. We practice with the breath, observing from our center without moving to fix or change, without needing to evaluate. And even if evaluation happens, we can just observe that from our quiet center. And the more I stay with my breath, the more that I might notice, the more details, the more intricacies. And I open to those. I include those. I welcome those. And you may notice the breath shifting and changing all on its own. And if you find the mind is persistent in wanting your attention, be gentle with yourself. Just notice it, and then give your attention once again to the breath. Maybe in the chest, maybe in the belly. I invite you also to lean back a little bit. So you might find that you're kind of leaning forward right now, and see if you can find that alignment between the crown of your head and your tailbone. Sometimes it helps us to be an observer more when we're sort of leaning back a little bit, not so far back that your spine is out of line, but just because there tends to be this forward orientation in most of us. And you might also want to lift your chin a little bit. So there's this sense of the crown being directly aligned with the sky above and the ears over the shoulders. And just notice what those little adjustments do to your experience. So not only do we listen to the guidance that I'm offering, but also we notice what happens when we apply it. Great. And as we are aware of our breath and the sensations, the sensation trail that it's leaving in our body, there's a natural tendency for awareness to penetrate more and more deeply into the body. So we all might be aware of more sensations than we were when we first started. And these sensations might be pleasant and they may be unpleasant. But again, we just open to what is showing up in our field of awareness, knowing that everything that arises is sacred. There's an intelligence that brings forward these details of our experience so that they can be simply open to, held in the embrace of your own awareness and also in this shared awareness. And as you open to your physical experience just as it is, notice any shifts that occur. Maybe more details reveal themselves, maybe images arise, words, memories. And see if you can open to those places that feel comfortable and those places that feel uncomfortable with equal affection. And maybe more precisely, notice that there is something here already that's not trying to be friendly or kind, but that just is. It's its nature. Great. Now I invite us all to, if it hasn't already happened, to sink a little bit deeper into the world of sensation, into the subtler sensations that we call emotions or feelings, or even energy. So there'll be some sensations happening in your body that aren't necessarily related to any particular muscle or joint or organ, but more of an energetic feeling, maybe a feeling of holding, or a feeling of swirling, a feeling of clenching, a feeling of movement. Perhaps some of the feelings that were evoked by your day today are showing up at this time to be integrated in a way that perhaps you weren't able to do completely in the busyness of your day. Or perhaps a feeling that has been hanging out in your field recently, showing up first thing in the morning when you wake up. And so just notice where that lives in your body. And notice that there's space here for that too. We're not trying to do anything. We're not trying to change anything. There's no agenda here. Being open, sensing the peace that comes with the openness and the acknowledgement and even the acceptance is the gift. And as we've gone through the layers of our being, our connection with earth, our connection with the spirit realm, our connection with our body, our breath, our feelings, and our mind. And as we allow everything to be as it is to the best of our ability, we may begin to notice that a sense of spaciousness, a sense of greater loosening in our being becomes available to us. Some of us might even be noticing that the edges of our body start disappearing. The heart might feel a little more relaxed. The belly a little more open. And we can rest together in and as this shared presence as we continue to allow the details of our experience to come and go in their own time and in their own way. So we are the sky, and the thoughts, the sensations, the feelings are the clouds, appearing, moving through, disappearing. Now I invite you to bring into your awareness this pandemic, this coronavirus, this COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, whatever it takes to evoke in you some of the responses, some of the reactions, some of the feelings and emotions, some of the fears that have been coming up for you. So sometimes it just takes thinking about it, or thinking about a particular relationship that has been affected by it, about our job, or about just maybe disagreements we might have with people as to how we should be dealing with this discomfort. So whatever that is, and I want you to just allow any feelings, any sensations that arise as you bring those images, those thoughts, those memories in. Allow them to be held by this presence. Notice how your breath has changed as you think about this particular situation. For many of us, it will feel a little shorter, a little bit more restricted. Let's open to the breath as it's showing up, knowing that it is showing us those places in us that are wanting to wake up, those places in us that are wanting to be touched and transformed by these times. Pain and discomfort and contraction and tension and conflict are harbingers of evolution. If we can turn to them in such a way that we become curious about the places in our being that are being opened up. And the breath is a really good indicator of that. So again, just giving your open, kind attention to the breath as it's showing up, meeting it as it is. And noticing the effect that simple acknowledgement and openness has on the system. And then notice how the body feels. Where has tension shown up in your body? And if you'd like to just drop in that situation or different situations, especially if you kind of feel like you've gotten lost within the journey here, just drop it back in, almost like you're dropping a pebble into a pond, just to evoke these responses, which are, of course, not new to you. They're familiar, aren't they? But generally, in the busyness of our lives, when we're caught in the mind, we don't really have the bandwidth to make space for the energies that are being activated. We have all come into this time in our life with a lot of residue in our energy body. This residue comes from our life, our experiences, and the trauma that we've had where we haven't quite been able to digest and integrate the feelings, the fear. And many of these energy patterns and feelings get locked into our body. In fact, it's a form of intelligence to lock these energies in, especially when we just don't have the capacity to really open to them. And usually a lot of these energies get laid down when we're very young. And when the adults around us don't have the awareness or the presence or the capacity to hold space for us to feel what it is that we're going through. And so by the time we are adults, we all have pockets of dense, unintegrated energies in our bodies. Partly it's from our own personal experiences. Partly it's energy patterns that have been passed on to us by our parents, both just through actual energetic transmission, but also our parents will be in certain patterns because of their own holding, contractions, the places where they have kind of closed down. And beyond that, we learn these ways of shutting down certain parts of ourselves through our culture. And beyond that, many of the holdings that we have in our system, many of the places where the energy body is stagnant, come from generations worth of unintegrated material. Our ancestors have been through pandemics, have been through wars, have been through all kinds of very, very challenging situations. And all of this gets passed on to us. Energy is transmitted just like a vibration. We're transmitting energy all the time. But certainly, as babies, we spend 9 months in our mother's womb and a lot of time very close to both our mothers and our fathers. And even the lack of closeness can also leave quite an imprint on our energy field. And so times like this, and particularly seeing as it's a circumstance that's affecting all of us, has a great capacity to really bring to the foreground any of these energies that perhaps have been hiding beneath the surface. But again, I think if we are completely honest with ourselves, we recognize that some of the things that are arising are familiar to us, whether it be the judgment or the feeling of separation or fear or anxiety or worry, confusion, feeling ostracized, feeling like we don't belong, feeling like we're not being understood or respected. All of these things are very, very familiar to us as human beings. And yet somehow with this last year and a half, everything is magnified and it doesn't seem to be going away. So just notice in this moment what it is that has ventured to the surface here. What it is that you are feeling in your body. Where is the maybe primary area of tension in your body? I'm noticing it mostly in my back body, actually, along the back of the ribs, which is kind of not a really familiar place for me, but there it is. And I'm not sure if I'm just feeling myself or I'm feeling the group, but it doesn't really matter. If we're feeling it, then it's ours to feel. And there's no doubt that we are all feeling each other and our common places of energy pockets. I'm also noticing a lot of tingling in the area of the navel and the solar plexus. Also the hands, forearms. So we're noticing without analyzing. We're simply opening to this dance that is happening within us. And we're leaning back into this place of the observer. And although there is some kind of distance that we might feel, there's also a sense of closeness and affection. These energies that have come forward, I feel that oftentimes I feel a great sense of gratitude for them, for showing up and for everything that has led to the possibility of these energies showing up, including your calling to be here tonight in such great numbers. And there's nothing for us to do here. We're not doing this. This clearing is happening all by itself. If anything, my guidance is attempting to encourage you to just get out of the way so that the clearing that wants to happen through you does so with the least amount of impedance possible. Good. And now I invite you to drop once again any kind of detail related to this pandemic, maybe something you heard in the news, or just drop it back into your body, some way that it's affecting your life. And now I want you to notice what feelings arise. Where does the system contract? And essentially, what the body is showing us is that these places are wanting to wake up. So contraction is not a bad thing. On the contrary, when we notice it, it's a very, very good thing. So where is that holding and contraction happening in your body, knowing that it's not personal, that this holding and contraction is probably happening in billions of other people at this time? But that you have felt called to contribute your presence to the best of your ability. And that's all that we're doing. Any practice that we do to deepen, to increase our own consciousness, of course, benefits our own life. And at some point, we realize that also that we can use the increase in consciousness here, the increase in energy awareness, to purify energies that are seemingly outside of us, but of course they're not. If we're feeling them, then they're happening within us. And if we're feeling them, it means we have the capacity to feel. We have the capacity to open to. And everyone and everything benefits from it. So just noticing that quality of openness that is your natural state, that is coexisting with whatever feelings, emotions, energies that have arisen here. Some of you may notice that one or more of the chakras, the energy centers, are activated. And so feel free to take some time to expand, to open those as well, open to those as well. Exhaling, I drop into the support of the earth. Inhaling, I expand into the realm of the great mystery. I allow my mind to do whatever it wants to do. And I give myself the permission to bring my attention elsewhere, to just let the mind do what the mind does, to let the body do what the body does, to let the emotional being do what the emotional being does, to let the energy body do what the energy body does. And this gives me the possibility of simply resting while life flows through me. So let's sit for a little bit longer together in silence, allowing any energies that are wanting to appear to do so in these last minutes together. Letting the intelligence of life bring any energies, any images, any feelings forward that are being called into this space of awareness that we have created here together. It's like the awareness magnetizes these energies that want nothing more than to be liberated. They rush forward to be freed, like birds that rush out of a cage that's just been opened. So continuing to rest as presence. Go ahead and invite one of the circumstances or situations related to the coronavirus back into your mind, into your being, and just notice if there's any shift in the reactivity of the body, if there's a shift in perspective. So I encourage you to continue to make space in the coming days for these reactions that might show up in your body as you listen to or read news or just deal with anything related to this or anything for that matter. Knowing that everything that comes to us is for us, it's to help us to grow. And the places, our body lets us know what is wanting to unwind through the felt sense, through the places where the emotions get stirred up in our system. And so when we can let go of making these things wrong or bad, then we can create more and more space and connect to a greater and greater capacity for presence, so that we're not using our energy to push against these things. We're giving space for them to move. And as they begin to move and they free themselves, they join into the flow of life that moves through us. They join into the energy behind the momentum of our soul. And so I encourage you to take time to feel in this way. I'll be sending out the recording for this meditation, so you're, of course, feel free to listen to it again if that helps you. And I'd like to complete this evening with a song that we often sing at the fires here at ClearBeing. It's become kind of an anthem. It's called "We Shall Be Known." We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time to lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here this evening, for sitting around the metaphorical fire. And although I did notice that somebody was sitting outside around an actual fire, so thank you. I think it was Michael. So I wish you all blessings of peace and health, and look forward to seeing you again. For those of you who live relatively close to King City, please take a look at the newsletters we've been sending out, because we are having community fire circles, which I think can be very, very supportive in these times. And you can sign up for those just by responding to the newsletters. And then there's some other offerings coming up soon with respect to healing the body, the soul's way. There's a free webinar in 2 weeks. And so keep your eyes open for that. And I look forward to seeing you again real soon. Blessings and have a wonderful evening.